So today, this Friday's a little different. Usually it's Friday sewing school. Today, it's Friday sewing tool. Hi, this is Kim from Dorothy's Daughter. Welcome to Friday Sewing Tool. Today was supposed to be a continuation of the men's dress shirt sew along, but my sewing room is completely filled with glitter, and sewing a man's shirt in this environment is probably not a great idea. I discovered this when my husband asked me to iron a couple shirts for him today, and I went to the ironing board and I looked at it and decided that I could not put his shirt down on top of all that glitter. So I decided to just finish the costumes before I introduce anything else into the sewing room. So that is why we will continue with that next Friday. But this Friday, I thought, why not just talk about, you know, it's very timely. A lot of us are sewing costumes right now. I hate Halloween. First, can I just say that? I hate Halloween. I don't like the evilness of it. Some of the commercials are just awful. But I fight back. Instead of fighting back by boycotting it or anything like that, I fight back by making stuff as cute as I can. I mean, I think there's nothing cuter than a little kid dressed up like a princess or a pirate or something. So I am the Grammy this year of 2 mermaids, a pirate, Mal from Descendants 3, Coyote Peterson, and a cowgirl. So there you have it. I'm not sewing all of those. I am making the 2 mermaids and the pirate and parts of the other ones. But it is just so much fun, and it's something that I love to do with my grandkids. I love to see their faces when they see the beautiful princess costumes that I've made for them, and I'm thrilled to be able to do this for them. So I thought what I'd do is just give you some tips on costume sewing. It's kind of another animal in some respects. First of all, whatever fabrics you're choosing fabrics because of the way they look, not because of the way they behave. So this is like actually a glitter knit, which is kind of cool. This is a little bit of a thick knit. I'm going to use my stretch needle, or have used my stretch needle on this. It's worked really well. I've also serged it. The thing is, you have to be careful because sometimes there's some gumminess on the top of these with the glitter adhered. So you just want to make sure that you choose the right needle. On the tool, you're definitely going to use a lightweight needle. The organza, the same. Satin is a crazy animal that loves to fray the whole time you're sewing it. Just make sure that you secure all those edges really well. So that you don't end up with it fraying before you're even done with the project, because that has happened. So that tip number 1 would be to choose your needle carefully. Make sure that and if you don't know what that is, if you refer back to the video that I did on delicate fabrics, that'll give you a lot of clue. I also did one on choosing needles back in the beginning of Friday Sewing School. So if you need to refer back to those, definitely do that. Number 2, if you have a fabric with sequins, make sure you remove them very carefully at the seam line before you sew. Some sequins can be sewn over, but with our home machines, with industrial machines, they just fly over it. But with our home machines, some of them might not really do very well. So my suggestion is to you can test it and see how your machine does with it. Some sequins are glued on, and you can kind of do that. The one thing though is that you'll have to check your needle to see if it's getting sticky. The last time I used the glued on sequins, the knit, I ended up changing my needle 3 times. That was a Tinkerbell costume, and I think I changed it about 3 times during that process. So make sure that you check your needle and make sure it's not gumming up if they're glued on. If they're sewn on, proceed just carefully over them. Hand crank when you get to them if you need to, but just go very, very slowly. And if worst comes to worst, just pull them out at the seam line, and it won't make a difference at all in how your project looks. Another tip is that this is probably going to be worn once, maybe twice. If it is just for Halloween, if it is just for kids, if it's not something you're making for a theater company or, something like that. Unless it's like, okay, so this satin, you have to finish the edges. You just have to, or it's just gonna fray all over the place. But you don't have to do that for a Halloween costume if it's just cotton or something. I made the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz last year, and I just used my pinking shears on the seams. I didn't worry about finishing them off. It was for one night, so you can really cut a lot of time off of making the costumes if you do that. Now, I know I'm one that I like my insides to look real pretty, but sometimes, given the situation, you just let it go because you know that it's really only going to be something that they're going to wear Halloween night and never wear again or play in. If you think it's going to get heavy play, then it's worth it to finish the seams. But if you think it's just something that my little 2-year-old granddaughter, she's not ever going to wear this mermaid costume again. So I don't see a need to really, I'm finishing the seams only because this is fraying ridiculously. This is a satin that's underneath all this. But the rest of it, I'm not gonna bother with, finishing the seams. I'll just pink them. So tip number 2 was remove the sequins or proceed over them carefully. And tip number 3, don't spend a lot of time finishing seams. If you have fabric that isn't fraying like crazy and it'll make it through Halloween night without, coming apart, that's good enough if that's the only time they're ever going to wear it. Now, if they're going to play in it a lot, or if it's something you want to pass down from generation to generation, or you're doing it for a theater company, that's different. But if it's just for a Halloween costume for one night, it's just not worth the time. That's when it's okay to cut corners a little bit, and you don't have to finish every seam. It's not going to fray after one wear, unless it's this. Except for satin. Satin frays like crazy, so I do finish satin because if you don't, it could even fray by the end of the night. It even frays while you're sewing it, so definitely want to finish the satin. And tip number 4, don't fear the tulle. Just take, they look so complicated. Even I was a little bit intimidated seeing that this mermaid costume that I'm making had boning in it. So, and I've never put boning in before. I believe it or not, I've never had that opportunity to do that. So, I'm a little like, I know it's going to be okay because it doesn't look that hard, but when you look at something like that and you go, I can't possibly make that step by step, I guarantee you can do it. So don't be intimidated by the hard looking patterns, because in reality, they're not really that hard. It's just different. And now I have a tip that I have used more than once today to control the glitter in your sewing room: a lint roller. You can go over your clothes before you leave. I went over my ironing board a little bit, my cutting mat, to keep the glitter off of everything in your sewing room. Make sure you have a lint roller in your sewing room. So those are 5 tips, and I thought I'd show you what I'm making this year. This is I have a lot of tool scraps from all the years of making costumes. I'm going to show you some of the patterns over the years that I've done, things that I can find, that is. I made Tinkerbell a few years ago. I loved that. I made Wendy. And I've made a lot that I don't have pictures of for some reason, so I apologize. When my daughter was young, I made her a bridal gown. She was about 8 years old and she went as a bride. So that was kind of fun. And actually that picture was kind of fun to pull out on her wedding day. So if you have a little girl and she wants to be a bride for Halloween, that might be a fun thing to do, because it's a great picture to show her husband on her, when the slideshow comes out at the wedding. Great time to get that picture out. All right, so what I am making is I'm making the Little Mermaid, the Disney Little Mermaid pattern by Simplicity. I'm making the Disney Little Mermaid pattern from Simplicity. This is for mostly a toddler girl. This is, I'm making a size 3, but sizing it down for a 2-year-old. So this is what I'm making. It's about half done. This is the skirt. I have to put the ruffle at the bottom that actually is supposed to look like a fin. And then the little top is partway done. It needs a lining. It needs to all come together in the ruffle at the bottom. But I'm making headway. I'm about halfway done with this one. And this is the offending glitter fabric here. And then I am making another mermaid costume. This one is Simplicity 8728, and I am making the girls version. And that tail is made of knit. So this glitter knit is the mermaid tail. I only have that cut out at this point, but I do think it's going to be fun. I'll be sure and grab some pictures so that you can see all of these things when they're done. And my little pirate is just a black felt vest. And I'm making him a red and white striped shirt. This is for my little pirate's shirt, t-shirt, that it's going to go underneath his little black vest, and he's got a pirate hat. And this is swimsuit lining. And I don't know why they think little girls want to walk around dressed like that in October. What mom in October in Ohio would let their little girl go out with only that on? Just stupid. I don't know why they do that with costumes. But what I do is I take swimsuit lining and I will make a long sleeve t-shirt for both of my mermaids to go underneath their costume. And then they'll have it too to wear under other costumes. You can pass them down and around, and that's a part that can last. Because you can wear it under any costume. So anyway, what are you making this Halloween? Are you sewing for any little trick-or-treaters? And then just a final note, if Halloween offends your spirit the way it does mine sometimes, there are commercials on TV that just, I hate the Halloween movie commercials and the evil, evil things that are on television. If you live in my area, you'll know what I mean if I say the Cedar Point commercials, because they had this thing called Halloweekends, which when I was a kid was fun. It was just the fun part of Halloween, but now it's taken to another level and it's realistic, just gore. And I just hate that stuff. But since that part of Halloween really offends my spirit, what I try to do is just embrace the cute and try to keep it try to make it as positive for my family as I can. If you're not a Bible-believing person, this is only meant in kindness. It is not meant to be divisive in any way, but just as an encouragement of what to focus on in life. And that's good for anybody. And Philippians 4:8 says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And so when you see those little tiny kids dressed up in the cutest costumes, just embrace that and leave the evil behind. My kids always knew that I hated the other part of Halloween and wouldn't allow that part in my house. But we used to have the best time going trick-or-treating with their friends and dressing up as the cutest. And some of my best memories were making costumes for them. So I've made everything from a yellow crayon to an army soldier to, oh boy, just tons of different things. So just have a blast if you happen to be the mom or Grammy of one of these little ones. And also keep them safe this year. And have a happy Halloween. Enjoy the trick-or-treaters. Embrace the good. And I'll see you on Tuesday. I have a new collaboration with Karina. We are both sewing the new chip jacket from Seamwork. and we will be sharing our makes on Tuesday. Have a wonderful day. Happy sewing.